lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and I am back with another issue of Savage Dragon. I got issue 266. Anybody that watches this channel knows we here at Comic Lounge are fans of Savage Dragon. I would say if I had to pick a favorite from the initial Image Comics launch when they first started, it would be Savage Dragon. It's consistently been one of my favorite books, and not to mention that Erik Larsen has done every single issue, which is a testament to his love of comic books and the dedication that he has to his character. I mean, we've seen it go ups and downs. I mean, I've talked about this on the channel too. You know, like it started with, you know, the original Dragon, who's a cop in Chicago. If you're not familiar with the character, which, I mean, I think most people at this point probably are. You know, now we're following Malcolm Dragon. He's been out, and just kind of catch you up, he's been out of the U.S. since Trump was elected president. Erik Larsen took Malcolm and his family, moved him to Canada, but guess what? Trump's not president anymore, so this is a way to bring him back. He's coming back because he kind of has no purpose in Canada anymore. They got a super team. They don't really need his help, so he's like, well, what do I do? Like, I have nothing to do anymore, and we saw that in the last couple of issues. Well, he's getting recruited to have a super team, and it's going to be in San Francisco, which is it's a new locale. He hasn't, you know, the Dragon family has never been there before. They come from Chicago. That's where Malcolm grew up. That's where he's from. And, you know, after spending all this time in Canada, they're going to leave. But as you can see, he's got a family. And I don't know about any of you, but I did not like moving around when I was a kid. It kind of sucks. So, and we're going to see some of that. But I just love this family pose. I mean, you got Malcolm with a peace sign necklace because, you know, San Francisco is definitely like, it's got its history deep in the hippie culture, right? So it makes sense for them to kind of be wearing the stuff they're wearing. It's not out of line at all with the characters either. It all makes sense. So I really dug this cover. You know, I just noticed this. You know, I didn't notice it at first, but Bob's Donuts. Now I got to ask Eric if that's a real donut place. Because if he's writing that there, it's got to mean something. And if it is, they must have some bomb donuts. And I got to hit him up when I get to San Francisco. So like I said, Erik Larsen, he does it all. You got Jack Morelli on letters. Nikos Koutsis on colors. Mike Torres on flats. You know, we open up. Amy's talking to her talking tiger friend, Walter. So we've met him a few issues ago. He's been in the book. You know, she's talking about like, oh, he wants that. You know, Baba, which is what she calls her dad, wants to move us to San Francisco. And she's like, I won't see you again. And he's like, well, are there trash cans in San Francisco? Like, are there alleys there? Like, why don't I just go with you? And I just find that so funny. He's like, not like, can I come live with you in your house? Like, no, let me just continue to live in the alley and I'll live there in San Francisco. And, you know, so you have this nice little back and forth and how, you know, he wants to go with her. He doesn't want to stay. And I feel like there's going to be more here to unpack with Walter as we move forward, which I'm kind of excited to see. And that's another thing that's important is like this story is told in real time. So that's why we had like the whole Trump thing. That's why we've seen now Malcolm take over the book from his dad after his dad's gone. And it's really a generational book. And I think that's kind of what makes it as special as it is, at least in my eyes. But as you'll notice, this is an elderly dragon. This is Paul Dragon, who is his dad from an alternate Earth. He came over during the merging of the multiple Earths, which was a storyline that concluded in issue 225. There's a lot that goes into reading this if you're one of those readers that wants to know everything. So I highly suggest picking up the trades when they come out. But you really can jump in. That's something that Erik has done really well is he makes them very accessible to pick up a random issue and you'll get a good story and you'll always be entertained. So we're coming back with Paul. He had his arm ripped off. He's getting a new one attached. As the scientist is saying here, that wasn't made to fight. You know, that's not what it was meant for. So, you know, he was a hero on his Earth and he's going to be a hero on this Earth. So he's like, okay, well, so he gets his new arm and then he's talking about, you know, a little bit about Malcolm and how like, you know, obviously he wants to be accepted as his father, but he's not really his father. So, like, you have that dynamic going on. Got Captain Tootsie over here, who's a public domain character. That's something Erik also always does, which I love that he always incorporates these like random characters at times and puts them into the Savage Dragon universe. I love it. And so he's like, Malcolm's asking him, will you reconsider joining the team? He's like, no, like I already told North Force, which is the Canadian super team, kind of like an Alpha Flight Avengers type team. And he tells him, he's like, no, I gotta stay here. I gotta protect this, the Gene Tech laboratories and see if anybody else comes from the merging of multiple Earths, kind of like, Paul did. They're coming to say goodbye, finding out that they're leaving, and Amy electrocutes him because obviously she's got some powers because of Malcolm's mom, Rapture, who has electricity powers as well. And then we just, we get a great issue of just like, they're discussing whether or not they should move. You got Maxine's family coming in. You got what I guess you could consider Malcolm's dad, quote unquote dad, and you got his wife Alex. Everybody's got conflicting emotions on whether or not they want to go, right? Jackson does not want to go. He's very, very adamant about not wanting to leave. He wants to stay behind. Obviously, like all parents will do, they're like, it's going to be a good thing, and like, but as a kid, you can't really accept that because you have to leave all your friends. You have to leave everything you know behind. And because they were younger when they moved, like now they're in that age where like, they got their set group of friends. They got their like routine, and it's hard to kind of, change from that. So then we, Malcolm and Maxine, like they're going to kind of scope out San Fran and kind of like, get the lay of the land. They meet up with Jeremiah Youngblood, which is definitely a call to Mr. Rob Liefeld's Youngblood team, who is no longer part of the Image universe because Rob doesn't own the characters anymore. But I love this little callback because this even looks like Cable. It's obvious that this is a nod to Rob. I really dig the fact that Erik put that in there. They're gonna come see what the deal is over here, and you get this like nice little montage as you get to see some of the landmarks that San Francisco's famous for. You got the Golden Gate Bridge, and then Jeremiah Youngblood's letting them know what's going on with the gangs, and crime is up, and that's why they want to have this task force, and they want Malcolm to lead it. Or Maxine's like, we're gonna leave everybody that we know. Like what? Like why would we want to do that? And Malcolm obviously is wanting to do it, and she wants to make sure that they have their own house because they want privacy because they want to do what they want to do. And they get back. I love these panels. You get them walking through the door like this like nice wholesome family, and this book is anything I would say but like a wholesome comic. But I love the family dynamic is really fun. You get like Paul just like sitting there he's the grandpa reading them stories, and still it's like they're not like committing, right? Like they're saying, oh well, it looks promising, I think we want to do it. And like I love the kind of like nicknames they have for each other. I think that's funny. He calls her Buggy Whip. But, she's like, oh, possibly we'll do it. And then he says definitely. And Jackson's pissed. He runs off to the room. He doesn't want to do it. He wants to stay with his grandpa. He's like, no, you can't. They're even thinking about coming up. Then this is something that I love that he does too, is like, you're reading about a superhero, right? But he's not a millionaire. He doesn't have a bunch of money. So what are they thinking about? They're looking at places to live, and they're saying how high the rent is. And I can relate because I live in LA. So to see this conversation happen, one that I've had with my wife too, I just find it very humorous, and it just adds to the layers of why this book is so special, because it really is, slice of life / superhero book. Like that's really what this is, because it isn't just about fighting crime. It isn't just about fighting aliens or whatever. It's really like the connections that these characters have with one another and the relationships. So here we go. We're getting to San Francisco. They're, like, again, just like, oh, you're going to love it. It's going to be the best, like, let's go exploring. And then you see the fucking homeless encampments, and you see the reactions here, and they're just like, can we go home? And then this simple sigh by Malcolm just says it all. So I just love this issue. I love every issue. Every time that a new issue of Dragon comes out, it's a good week for me. So, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, because look at these letters pages. Another thing that we don't have in all comic books, but Erik is always putting letters in here. a lot of these people I even know from the Savage Dragon group on Facebook. Like, so it's definitely like the diehards that really love this book that write in and get spotlighted. And then we get, 100-page 30th anniversary issue, which you already know I'm going to be talking about that on here. I love when Erik does those big anniversary issues. And I love that it's just a random, it's going to be a random issue 267. But, it's a wedding issue. We're going to see Angel get married. And look at this. I love this dude. And he responds to every single letter that he puts. It's not like he just throws letters in and doesn't respond. And you can see, like, people really love and care about this book because they take the time to write these letters. And they're not just like, one paragraph, one little short message. So, I mean, look at that. You got 4 pages of letters. And then we always have these awesome little backup stories in the back that are always fun to look at. But another great issue of Savage Dragon. There's no signs of him stopping. I know that there'll be like breaks in it, but if you are a fan of Savage Dragon, if you don't see it on the shelves at your shop, make sure you hit up the manager, whoever's at the counter, and tell them you want to have you want a new issue of Savage Dragon in your pull, because these are just fun superhero comics. It's rare when you get to see a creator go this long on a book and still have story to tell. So go pick it up. Make sure you get in on it. If you can't find this issue, which I highly recommend, great entry point, $267, $10 book, but it's going to be 100 pages. So that's another great jumping on point. And, make sure you check out the Savage Dragon playlist we have on the channel. Make sure you follow us on social media. All the links are down below. Hit the subscribe button so you're notified every time a new vid goes up. And on that note, I'm out.